Along the steep hiking trails of Runyon Canyon lie the ruins of the once impressive Outpost Sign. Here are the clips of the hike and the remains of the landmark as I tell you about the outpost. I started out from North Vista above Franklin Avenue, which is the easier hike along the paved Fire Road. Across the canyon from the famous Hollywood sign was another giant lettered sign that read Outpost. The letters were 30 feet high and in green neon. Located in the hills above the Grauman's Chinese Theater, the sign was promoting a new housing development, promoting as Hillside Homes of Happiness. It was visible from the 1920s until the 1940s. The sign was meant to outshine the Hollywood sign, as it could be seen far and wide, day and night. Neil Incorporated, manufacturer of Neolite neon tube signs, was the company that erected the Outpost sign. They also constructed the United Artists Theater neon sign in the same year. In the late 1800s, the land was owned by General Harrison Gray Otis, who called the adobe that sat on the property the Outpost. The adobe was built by Don Thomas Urquidez sometime around 1853. General Otis swindled the land away from Don Thomas, who was old, in poor health, and failed to file paperwork to secure his claim on the land. After Otis died, the property was eventually bought by a real estate mogul named Charles E. Toberman, who had big plans for the land. He had the adobe torn down, but kept the Outpost name for the land to be sold off and developed. He had the neon Outpost sign erected about 1927 to advertise the land for sale. At the time, the parcels of land, divided into 2 acres and less, went for between $3,500 to $50,000, and developments were restricted to grand Spanish-style homes with tile roofs, since brush fires were a problem during that time as well. The development attracted celebrities like Dolores Del Rio and Bela Lugosi. The neighborhood became known as the Outpost Estates, with borders from Mulholland Drive to Franklin Avenue and from Runyon Canyon Park to Hollywood Bowl. When the U.S. entered World War II, much of the populous U.S. had to go dark at night to prevent being a target for bombing. Since the Outpost sign was in neon, it was dismantled and left where it once stood. The sign was forgotten for 60 years, but was rediscovered in 2002 by Bob Eacoles and Steve Scott, residents of the Outpost Estates, during a hike in Runyon Canyon. All that you can find of the sign now are rusted frames lying on the ground. The upside is that you can look out to admire the sunsets draping the hillsides and view all the developments of Hollywood and Los Angeles. The land where the adobe once stood was eventually bought by Bob Barker. He found that the price was right. If you are going to do the hike, I recommend wearing comfortable shoes and watch your footing at all times.